welcome back to Finding New Films. My name is Hunter Harris. I am the host of the show, and today I am back with another guest. I'm rejoined by my mom, and today we are here to review and discuss The Godfather Part 2. Oopsie daisy. And so with that, we got a lot ahead of us as far as credits and plot is concerned. I did want to ask, since we watched the first one together, what were your thoughts coming into this one?
I didn't know what to expect. This was it was the same dynamic but different. The whole movie was different from the first one altogether. Like it was intense. It was intense.
Yeah,
More intense than the first, I have to say.
it definitely was more intense. Family turmoil is turned up in this one.
Big time.
Patriarch is gone. The beloved son is gone. Sonny. And yeah, the family kind of just descends into chaos a little bit. Michael losing grip on reality, Michael losing grip on his family, and then juxtaposing that with Vito's struggles getting to America,
Mm-hmm.
and the type of humility that Vito was able to live with because of the type of beginnings that he came from. He came from nothing.
Mm-hmm.
No family anymore. After 9 years old, he basically had no family.
Yeah, he was an orphan, yeah.
And so juxtaposing that with Michael, who had basically lived a life of lavish and is kind of just following his father's footsteps, trying to do the right thing,
Mm-hmm.
but ultimately,
He went off the tracks a little bit.
yeah, putting the family in a worse spot than they were.
Yeah.
Tom Hagen says it in the movie. He says, they were like the Roman Empire once. They used to be.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, let's get through the credits and then the plot because it's a lot. And then we can talk more about it. So the runtime of this movie, Godfather Part 2 came out in 1974. The runtime on the movie was 202 minutes, so a shade over 3 hours and 20 minutes long. Mammoth runtime.
It was a long one.
Yeah. So we got we got writers Francis Ford Coppola and Mario Puzo, and then we have director Francis Ford Coppola. The editors were Barry Malkin, Richard Marx, and Peter Zinner. The music on the film done by Nino Rota, who also did the first film, as well as camera work being done by Gordon Willis, who also did the first film. Al Pacino returns as Michael Corleone. Robert De Niro plays a young version of Vito Corleone, and Robert Duvall returns as Tom Hagen. Diane Keaton returns as Kay, and those are the stars of the movie. I guess a little shout out to John Cazale for Fredo Corleone.
Yeah.
And then let's see, anybody else? Who played
Frankie? Or Frank?
Yeah, I guess I can shout him out. Michael Vigazzo playing Frank Pentageli, and then Roth. I wanted to shout him out.
Yeah, Roth.
Damn it. Lee Strasberg played Hyman Roth. So yeah, shout out to them. Because they all had good performances. Okie dokie. So now I'm going to move on to the plot. And then I don't have the themes written down. There's honestly like so many things talked about. It's a lot. The main themes are family,
Power.
deceit, power,
Yeah.
wealth,
Yeah.
corruption,
Mm-hmm.
crime stuff.
It's the mafia.
Yeah,
We're gonna have a little crime.
just a little bit. So the plot is split up into two sections, effectively. So this is Vito's plot, and it is as follows. In 1901, 9-year-old Vito Andolini flees his country after his whole family is killed in Corleone, Sicily, when his father insults local mafia chieftain Don Ciccio. Vito escapes to New York City and is registered on arrival as Vito Corleone. In 1917, Vito lives in New York with his wife Carmela and their infant son Sonny. He loses his job due to the interference of Don Fanucci, a local black hand extortionist. His neighbor Peter Clemenza asks Vito to hide a bag of guns. As thanks, Clemenza enlists Vito's help in stealing a rug, which he gives to Carmela. The Corleones have 3 more children, Fredo, Michael, and daughter Connie. Meanwhile, Vito, Clemenza, and new partner Salvatore Tessio make income by stealing goods and reselling them door to door. This enterprise attracts the attention of Fanucci, who extorts them. Vito convinces his skeptical partners that he will talk Fanucci into accepting a smaller payment. And then during a neighborhood festa, Vito pays an incredulous Fanucci a much smaller amount and is offered a job as an enforcer. Vito later kills Fanucci in his apartment. Vito becomes a formidable and well-respected community member by helping locals in exchange for quote-unquote favors. In 1923, Vito and his family visit Sicily, during which he and his business partner Don Tomasino visit Don Ciccio, ostensibly asking Ciccio's blessing on their olive oil business. Ciccio asks for the name of Vito's father. Vito reveals his identity and then stabs Ciccio to death, avenging his family. And that is Vito.
Mm-hmm.
Now this is Michael's arc, and here we go. In 1958, during his son's first communion at Lake Tahoe, Michael has a series of meetings in his role as the Don of the Corleone crime family. Frank Pentageli, a Corleone capo, is dismayed that Michael refused to help defend his Bronx territory against the Rosado brothers, who worked for Hyman Roth, a Jewish mob boss and long-standing Corleone business partner. Senator Pat Geary expects a bribe in exchange for helping Michael obtain casino gaming licenses and insults Italians generally and the Corleones specifically. Michael predicts that Geary will aid him with the licenses but will not be paid. That night, a failed assassination attempt at his home prompts Michael to suddenly depart after confiding in consigliere Tom Hagen that he suspects a traitor within the family. Michael suspects Roth planned the assassination, but falsely tells Roth that he suspects that it was Pentageli. In New York City, under Michael's instructions, Pentageli attempts to make peace with the Rosados, but they try to kill him. The attempt fails when a police officer enters the bar where the Rosados are trying to kill Pentageli, resulting in the Rosados fleeing in a brief street shootout where Corleone soldier Willie Chichi is wounded. In Nevada, Tom Hagen is called to Carson City brothel run by Michael's older brother Fredo, where Geary has been implicated in the death of a prostitute. Unaware that Michael arranged the quote-unquote problem, Geary accepts Tom's offer to take care of it in return for Geary's political support. Sickly Roth, Michael, and several other partners travel to Havana to discuss their future Cuban business prospects under the cooperative government of Fulgencio Batista. Michael becomes reluctant to continue operating in Cuba given the ongoing Cuban Revolution. On New Year's Eve, Frito pretends not to know Johnny Ola, Roth's right-hand man, but inadvertently reveals that they know each other, leading Michael to realize that Frito is a traitor. Michael orders hits on Ola and Roth. His enforcer strangles Ola with a coat hanger, but is killed by Cuban soldiers as he tries to smother Roth. Batista abdicates due to rebel advances. During the ensuing chaos, Michael, Frito, and Roth separately escape Cuba. Back home, Michael is told that his wife Kay has miscarried. In Washington, D.C., a Senate Committee on Organized Crime is investigating the Corleone family, but Geary staunchly defends them. Penzighelli agrees to testify against Michael, who believes had betrayed him to the Rosados and is placed under witness protection. On returning to Novato, Fredo tells Michael that he didn't know that Roth had intended on killing him, but that he resents being regarded as stupid by the family and feels that he should have taken over the family after their father's death. Michael disowns Fredo, but gives the orders that he not be harmed while their mother is still alive. Michael sends for Penzighelli's brother from Sicily, and Penzighelli, after seeing his brother in the hearing room, retracts his previous statements, indicting Michael in organized crime. The hearing dissolves in an uproar. Kay reveals to Michael that she actually had an abortion and not a miscarriage, and that she intends on leaving him and taking their children. Outraged, Michael strikes Kay, banishes her from the family, and takes sole custody of the children. Carmela dies sometime later, and Michael hurries to wrap up loose ends. At the funeral, Michael appears to forgive Fredo at Connie's behest, but exchanges a glare with Corleone enforcer Al Neri, suggesting Fredo is to be killed. Cato visits her children as she is saying goodbye. Michael arrives and closes the door on her. Roth is forced to return to the United States after being refused asylum and entry into Israel. On Michael's orders, Roth is assassinated by a Corleone Capo regime, Rocco Lampone, during an interview in the Miami airport. Lampone is killed and turned by a federal agent while attempting to flee the scene. At Penzighelli's compound, Hagen visits him and to discuss how failed plotters against the Roman emperor often committed suicide in return for clemency for their families. Penzighelli is later found dead in his bathtub, having slit his own wrists. At the family compound, Michael has Connie retrieve his son as he was joining Fredo and Neri for a fishing excursion on the lake. Michael then watches from the den as Neri shoots Fredo dead. As Michael reminisces about Vito's 50th birthday on December 7th, 1941, occurring the same day that Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, while the family waits to surprise Vito, Michael announces that he's dropped out of college and joined the Marines. Angering Sonny and surprising Hagen, Fredo is the only member of the family to support his decision. Vito is heard opening the door and everyone leaves the room to welcome him while Michael sits alone. In present day, Michael sits alone at the family compound looking at the lake. And that was The Godfather Part 2. Yeah.
It was a lot.
It was a lot. A very convoluted movie, for good reason. And I really enjoyed it a lot.
It was good.
It had a lot of great callbacks. It had a lot of really good visual metaphors. Obviously, Francis Ford Coppola is really good at that. And yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I did too. That was good.
I enjoyed the callback from part 1, the movie starting on the hand kissing.
Yep.
Then to call back a little what we started talking about at the beginning, Vito really was never meant to know what love was. I think love was taken from him very, very early on. So yeah, for him to not turn out to be an absolute fuck up, it's pretty crazy. I don't know what I would have done.
Exactly. I mean, his entire family was taken from him in a flash.
Yeah. I'm feeling as though he had nobody to, like, I guess in a way he had, like, nobody to tie him down. He eventually would, get married and have kids and create his own family.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it was so heartbreaking when he lost Sonny, and, like, why it hurts him so bad.
Yeah.
In that first movie, and it caused him to want to call off the war.
Yep.
Like, immediately after.
Yep.
I don't know, there's so much in this movie where you watch it and you're like,
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That makes sense. I get it now.
Like Roth's callback to when Michael called for the hit on the boss of the 5 families. what was his name?
Can't remember.
Yeah, I can't either. There was one guy. It was Al something, I think.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
But yeah, nevertheless, I mean, the guy that we're trying to figure out the name of, he basically was friends with Roth and was like his first running mate.
Was it Mo
And
Green?
yes,
Mo
Mo
Green.
Green.
That's it.
Mo Green basically created Las Vegas.
Right.
In the lore of this film, at least, he created Las Vegas, and so basically,
Roth and him they grew up together.
yeah, but he understood that it was business
Right.
when Roth heard that Mo Green had come up missing, and so he was kind of using that story as a way of alluding to the fact that that Michael really shouldn't be upset about
Like
business.
I forgot about that. What you did to Mo, and you're gonna forget about this.
Yeah.
And that's how we're gonna do it.
Yeah. So much callback stuff that just makes the movie that much more special and much more interesting.
Yeah.
I like the visual of little Vito looking out of the quarantine room, looking at the Statue of Liberty. I thought that was a really good irony to say, like, you know,
this is my fresh start.
that, and as much it is as like the irony of like this is the land of the free, so go quarantine for 3 months and sit in this room. I thought that was really fun, and then having to stand and sit there and look at like the symbol of freedom, and he's basically being held down for 3 months
Because he had smallpox. Yeah.
and he doesn't even know like English, you know.
Yep.
So I can imagine how weird that was.
Yeah.
But yeah, this movie was really interesting.
There were so many layers to it. So many layers.
I do wonder if in that first scene when he is conducting all the meetings like his dad did at his daughter's wedding, this time it's his son's birthday, Michael's son's birthday.
Exactly.
And
Anthony's birthday.
So there's a parallel in the way that, well, no, he's receiving his first communion.
Communion, that's what it was.
But nevertheless, he is receiving his first communion. They're having a large get together. They have a senator there, and he's trying to bribe them. He's trying to receive a bribe, like trying to talk them into giving him a bribe. And they basically don't really want to do it. And I mean,
he came in there and he disrespected the Italians altogether, and he was like,
yeah, he basically was like, I hate Italian people.
Yeah,
on top of this.
Michael was like, we're at the same cloth here, buddy.
Yeah, that was funny. Well, he was just calling them, he was calling like all Italians blanket, like, bad people, and hates seeing them come out to the desert where there's fine Americans or whatever. It was really weird.
Yeah.
But I wonder if he brought the senator's wife in the house on purpose to have them sitting in the living room.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that.
I was wondering if Kay was starting to work with him after that, like starting to be on his side about stuff. But then, as the movie goes on, that's obviously not the case.
No.
But I was wondering if he had done that on purpose, but I don't think he did.
Yeah, I didn't make that connection.
Because he opens up that little.
And he said, I didn't even know you were in here.
Yeah, oh my god, I didn't notice you guys were in here. I was wondering if he was trying to get him to, like, shell up a little bit. He got him to shell up eventually. Basically, it's insinuated that he was drugged, and then they murder a prostitute and blame it on him.
He said, I blacked out.
Yeah.
That was wild.
Yeah, that was very interesting. That was on par, I think, with the dead horse from the first movie. I was kind of wondering how they could have topped anything like that, and that was another way of.
I don't know. When I saw Vito's mom get blown away at the very beginning, I was like, I was not expecting that. I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
that was a lot.
Yeah, Don Ciccio was a really good, just kind of like almost comical, like villain. He's just
Yeah.
evil for the sake of being evil.
Evil, yeah.
Um,
She was just there begging, please don't kill my only son.
yeah.
He's 9 years old.
And he's like, yeah, but he's gonna have revenge in his
He's
heart.
going to have revenge. He's going to come back and get me. Well,
The way
eventually he did.
the way that the kid Paolo died was really, the way they had his body positioned was really freak.
It was.
It was really
It was
really
graphic.
graphic.
It was
But
graphic.
and then the shriek of like they killed your son. And the mom reacting to it all is really, really rough. But yeah, this movie doesn't pull its shots. Francis Ford Coppola definitely does not pull his shots by any means. And then I have the quote noted here. I have, Michael, why are the drapes open? And then
Yes.
I
And
knew
then he immediately hit the floor and it was like.
I knew it was about to happen. I was like, someone went into his room and opened those drapes.
Yeah.
She's saying that.
Yeah.
And
That
then
was wild.
immediately after. Yeah.
That was crazy.
I really liked how this movie was formatted too, with the double. It's basically two movies wrapped into one.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really cool to see an intermission in a movie. Just stuff that like they just couldn't really be done anymore. I don't know that anybody else could make a movie like this, especially like nowadays, and have it come out as well as it did in this movie.
Right, I agree.
I think a lot of people have tried, and I just don't think that I don't think that it comes out that well.
It was so well put together with Vito's journey and how he became the family, the Godfather, and how Michael stepped into that role. And then how twisted Michael became during all of that chaos.
Yeah.
And how he played the game. He played the guy in Miami. He played the guys in New York. He had them batting against each other. It was wild.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that really solidified that, of what you're saying, is when he goes to Roth's house and is like, well, I know that Frank did it. And then he goes to Frank and he's like, yeah, well, I know Roth did it.
Exactly.
And you can't, as the viewer, you don't even really know until they actually move on what it is. And then the Rosado brothers trying to throw a wrench in it all by insinuating Michael's name during their assassination.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
To throw them off.
Right, which turned Frank against Michael, which was why he was going to testify in front of the Senate committee.
Yeah, and I really enjoy the idea that like Roth has this idea that he's gonna like live forever or something.
But also, I want to say too, when Michael was trying to figure out who the rat was in the family, and then he kind of had an idea that it was Fredo, but he wasn't sure until they were in the club. And then he started talking about Johnny had brought him there, and it was like, you could see Michael, like at that moment, realized,
like I have to kill
my brother.
Yeah.
Like you could see him processing that. Like that was an intense moment right there.
Yeah, like in the club when he's standing behind him, and he motions for the assassin to go start killing Roth and Roth's, or Johnny Ola. Who Johnny Ola was a horrible, just a shithead of a character.
For sure.
Just a bad guy. And then Roth is just a two-faced piece of shit.
Yeah.
I guess they all are, really.
I mean,
But I don't know. There's still a way for you to be like empathetic towards Michael, even though he's, a horrible person. There is a weird way that you kind of still feel empathetic for Michael because,
yeah,
in the same way that Vito never wanted that life, Michael never wanted that life, and Vito didn't want that life for him either. And maybe his time as a Marine corrupted his head and really got to him.
I mean, it could be, but I
But
think,
then, watching your father also be a violent person and stuff like that. But I just want to say, like, I don't know that because Michael was kept away from the family, so it's not like he would have truly seen exactly how Vito did business.
yeah,
So all he's running off of is like how he observed his dad and how he thought his dad was.
handled the business.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because he saw how his dad acted and who his dad was as a person,
Mm-hmm.
but he never saw his dad as a crime lord
Mm-hmm.
in the same intense way that Sonny or Fredo did. And I think that's also why Fredo harbors a lot of tension there, because he's just like, well, why are you privy to this? Because I was here
Right.
before you.
I'm the oldest brother. How did
Yeah.
you get this job and not me?
The oldest living brother, at least.
Yeah, exactly. And he was like, I don't like how I'm regarded in the family, that I'm not an idiot. I'm not dumb, but you kind of are, dude.
Yeah.
You kind of are.
It could have just been helpful.
You gave up your brother and you didn't even know what you were doing. I mean,
could have just been helpful. Could have just, helped out maybe.
yeah.
I don't know. It was a funny little explanation that he gave.
Yeah.
He's also just a shithead.
Yeah.
I say Kay and Michael's kids are like the only people that I really have a lot of like empathy for in the movie, that actually really deserve empathy in any way.
Yeah, they're totally innocent in that whole situation.
Yeah, they deserve a better go of it, and they just didn't. They're not gonna give any chance at it because their dad has to do what he has to do, I guess. I just wanna say I really enjoy the rug scene.
Rug scene.
I thought that was really funny about how he was just kind of, Vito was like, I feel like he knew what he was getting into. He was playing dumb, like, but once he started rolling up that rug and just walking away.
Walking down the street with
and then,
just a whole rug.
Well, that and the guy ringing the doorbell, and then the other guy basically silhouetting the door, ready to kill that person if they're coming in. I'm sure that person was very glad that door was locked.
Yeah.
They probably didn't know, but I'm sure they're glad. Unknowingly glad.
Yeah.
But, him just going along with it and that kind of being his first touch of Vince being like, I could do something illegitimate.
Right.
And make money as well.
Yeah.
And now that he's far away from like the big Don, he feels like he can hide in the city or whatnot. But I think we need to take a break real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're gonna take a break and we'll be right back. Thank you. Okay, and we're back. So we left off, we were talking about the rug scene. I'll start it out. Hello, Ellie. We got a visit by a dog. I enjoyed the train scene.
That's right, to your plans.
Should be careful it's not getting the mic.
Oh.
That was funny. I enjoy the modern train scene, or the modern train basically showing you that we're back in present day now. I thought that was really cool. Little touch. I mean, next to it says Fredo's the rat. We talked about the senator. I really enjoyed the quote where Roth told Michael that they're bigger than U.S. Steel, basically like stroking his pride. Being like, you could be bigger than your father. You could be big,
he was laying the groundwork.
Yeah.
He's playing the game too.
Yep. And his all of the stuff of being like, I'm leaving all of this to Michael Corleone, and like acting like he's an actual successor and that sort, was just a really, really good touch, in my opinion. Then we have the stuff about Mo Green.
Yeah.
And then you talked about this earlier, where he realized he had to kill his brother, and like that tonal shift that happens where you're kind of at the party and they're at that weird sex club, and right after he like looks back and nods at his bodyguard that has been like basically an informant, finally turns heel on Johnny Ola and Roth, and he just kills both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And tries to kill Roth. He doesn't quite get there. He gets murdered before he gets to Roth, but I guess murdered isn't the right word. He gets killed before he gets to murder Roth. But
he's assassinated.
Yeah. Ola got taken out with a hanger. Like,
of all the ways you can go.
As a gangster too.
Yeah.
A hanger.
A hanger.
A wooden hanger. I thought that was insane.
That was crazy.
I really enjoyed the movie hadn't come out yet, but it reminds me of Jaws, the way that the assassin was like following Roth around. He was like, as he went up to go to his room and then noticed that there's people in there about to take him to the hospital, and so he had to like circle back around.
Oh, he was hunting him.
And then it was
like hunting prey.
It was like shark smelling blood.
Yeah.
No
doubt.
And then
Great analogy.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
And then I have the quote from Michael where he walks up to Fredo on the dance floor and he goes, "I know it was you. You broke my heart, Fredo."
Yeah, you broke my heart. Kissed him right in the mouth, and he was like, grabbed him by the face and was like,
"I know
you
it was
broke
you,
my
Fredo.
heart.
I know it was you, Fredo. You broke my heart." I know that one is a big. The one thing I remember, I told you this in the last podcast. There was one thing about this movie that I was tipped off about, is that I knew that he had to kill his brother.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I was surprised.
I knew that I knew he was gonna have to kill Fredo.
Well, I knew when Johnny was calling Fredo, I was like, oh no. Yeah. It's Fredo.
Yeah.
You gonna be dead, man.
Yeah. I honestly believe that Michael knew the second that he was that they were like, that he mentioned Roth and Johnny Ola, and he was like, never met him. I think he knew right in that moment. He was like, And then,
right.
And then the way Johnny Ola treated Fredo when he saw him, I think that was the ultimate tip off, where he was like, "Yeah, we never met before." And I was like, ugh.
It's gonna be bad for you, man.
Yeah,
it's gonna be really bad because you just denied it. You just lied.
You wrote both your own death sentences there.
Yeah, you did.
Well, no, I think he was like, yeah, he said you guys don't know each other, and Johnny Ola was like, yeah, we don't know each other, and like was kind of like caustic, being kind of sarcastic about it, and ultimately killed both of them.
Yep.
Yeah, I appreciated this movie having a pee break in it.
Yeah.
You get an intermission right before the third act starts.
Exactly what I did.
Yeah. It's basically like, okay, we're done with the heavy hitters, but we're about to hit you with a lot of stuff, so you might want to go to the bathroom.
You need to take a break.
You got about an hour left. You probably should go to the bathroom if you need to.
Yeah.
The way that Vito killed the Don Ciccio.
I mean,
he is not alive.
He was
chest, right in the
like,
heart.
I mean, he just like went, slit him right and just gutted him.
Oh, I guess I'm mixing the two Dons up. I mean, when he kills the original Don, the New York one.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
What is his name? The Black Hand one, Don Fanucci.
Don Fanucci.
The way, he shot him in the chest, shot him in the face, and then shot him in the head again.
Yep.
Like, gets down there and shoots him in his mouth.
In his mouth. Opened his mouth up.
Executed him.
I mean, shot him here, and then when he was down, he opened his mouth and blew his brains out.
Apparently, according to major media, or I guess like movies and stuff, apparently like assassins are taught to shoot twice in the heart and once in the head. But he flipped that around. He was like, nope, 2 in the head.
I mean, he had his gun like concealed in a towel, and the towel was on fire. I was like, Lord.
It's definitely a 1910s silencer.
Yeah. Gracious.
Yeah.
It was rough.
The way the landlord came back like a shitting dog after.
Oh man!
After learning about Vito's reputation.
Here, take the money back. We're gonna lower the rent.
Actually, take this money back, and actually, I'm gonna take off 5. And he's like, 10 is what I meant to say. Yeah, that was really.
He was a cowering dog, man. He couldn't get out of that door fast enough.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
That was a really good performance, and then the physical comedy of like the door not opening whenever he was trying to open the door.
It's like, I can't get out of here fast enough. Please let me out.
Yeah, I've heard of that. Mafiosos do that. They'll like get complex locking systems, so when you go to like open the door, you look like an idiot. As like a way.
Yeah, and he would just
a way of making you like feel like second guessing everything you're doing because I can't get this door open.
And Vito was just sitting there like.
And even his like one of his capos or soldiers that was standing there was like laughing at him, basically.
And he just reaches over and like
unlocks
the door.
Like,
and they're like, you're not gonna see him again.
Gonna go hide out in the Bronx.
Yeah, he's gonna go hide out in the Bronx. Poor guy.
Hilarious.
He was pretty scared. It was like, he's been asking all around town about you, Vito, and it was like, oh, has he?
Interesting.
Here's your money back.
Yeah, no, here it is.
We're gonna lower the rent $10.
And then from there we get to the quote, "Frito, you're nothing to me now. You're not my brother. You're not my friend. You're not my family. You're nothing to me.
You're nothing."
And he walks away and he's like, Mikey.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, I'm Mikey now.
Mm-hmm.
You're angry.
You almost had me killed, and now I'm Mikey.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. We didn't talk about it, but the way that he blew up on Frank and was like, you shot at me through my house.
With where my wife sleeps.
Yeah.
And my children play.
Not knowing that Frankie, didn't have anything to do with it.
Yeah.
But, yeah. And even using more, like, psychological tactics of, like, getting there before he even knows about it. Like, not telling them that he's coming and having that come, and he's like, oh, shit. What?
You're like, oh, God.
What's going on?
What happened?
What did I do? And then, I guess, speaking of Frank, he basically threatened to kill Frank's brother at U.S. Senate trial.
See, that was what I took that 2 different ways. I took it as he was the respectable man, Frank's brother, in Sicily.
Yeah.
Highly regarded. And it was basically when he walked in and he gave him the stare down, it's like, don't humiliate our family. Don't be a jackass and don't be selling out people and humiliating us. But then he's sitting next to Michael, and Michael's leaning over and talking to him, and I'm like, this is kind of a sign of like, Michael's like, I know where your family's at.
Yeah, I know where that's where I.
And I know where your brother, and he's here.
Yeah.
So don't be a jackass.
Well, to me,
do the right thing.
To me, it was like I can get to your brother and like that in a
Yep,
split second, and there's nothing that you can do about it.
exactly.
So watch what you say.
It was
You
a
can have.
posturing moment for sure.
It's like you can have your day in court. Just know that you're gonna have to
You're gonna
deal
face
with
the
that
consequences
consequence.
of what you
Yeah.
say here today. So think about that.
Yep.
And he did.
Yep. And
He
he
was
was
like, I don't know
like,
what you're talking about.
yeah. No, I would
And
never.
that never happened.
I'm never an
I was
associate.
just telling the FBI what they wanted to hear.
They were just saying Michael Corleone did this, Michael Corleone did that. I said, yeah, sure, why not? I thought that was great.
Yeah.
To a darker note, though, his manipulation of Kay throughout the movie, and then especially in the very end of the movie, was really sad.
It was really sad when she was like explaining to him
That it was
when she had the abortion. It was like, I wasn't gonna bring another monster of yours into this world. And I was like, oh, did you see his lip shaking? I was like, oh girl, you gotta get hurt.
I wrote Kay is as good as dead after that abortion. I thought that was going to happen.
I did too.
I was looking at the cast list because I kind of just want to watch the part 3 now just to see it. But I thought he was gonna do something.
I thought he was gonna take her right then.
But Diane Keaton returns for part 3, so.
How about that? We don't know how long she'll be there.
Yeah, no, she's in the movie though.
She shows up, but we don't know how long she stays.
Yeah. And then Don Ciccio, the murder of Don Ciccio was a really good revenge plot.
Yeah.
Just about like the most you deserve this type of character that's ever really existed. And then his murder is brutal too. He gets killed seppuku style, where you cut the entire stomach.
Yep, he just gutted him. But
like a pig.
He did kill his father.
He killed his father,
his mother,
his brother, his
and
mother.
his brother.
Yeah.
So he had that coming.
Like I said, one of the most justifiable revenge killings that you can probably think of. The exact reason that he wanted Michael dead. I thought it was just a great little plot. It went to show that that Vito's means to an end were always justified, and Michael's means to an end were always just him satiating what he wanted, and getting what he wanted, and it wasn't always
forcing his agenda.
It wasn't always the best thing for the family,
right?
But Vito, the revenge on Don Ciccio is not it's not proving anything, but and it's not doing anything for the family, but it shows that he's willing to do the things that have to get done, and I guess it's also his turn into just pure ruthlessness as well. But I don't know. That's definitely a good conversation to have.
It was.
And then I just really enjoyed the ending scene to show that Frida was the only person that supported Michael in a really tough time when nobody else supported him. Frida was there for him, and it makes it even harder to deal with for Michael, because he's like, this is the one brother that I thought actually had my back, and he was the one that actually stabbed me in my back.
Yeah, it was really sad.
Yeah.
It was sad to see that he was left at the table alone, and then he was left at Lake Tahoe outside looking at the lake alone.
Yeah.
With no family now.
Well, the him getting left alone at the table is, I thought, a symbolism of what his life had become. And he had basically just, now he's alone at the table. Powerful stuff. I'll say, man, the Mario Puzo and Francis Coppola know how to write a damn movie. Good Lord.
Not even joking. I mean, you can't take your eyes off of it or you will lose it all.
Yeah.
I mean, it is just that intense.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a long movie, but it is such a watch.
Yeah, it's incredible. This movie is unlike anything I've
Yeah.
ever seen. Well, I mean, other than The Godfather Part 1, but, you know,
I'd have to say.
it's
One
one of
sets the
probably the
one
best
sets
thing.
the stage,
Yeah.
but two really brings it around full circle.
Yeah. I mean, you could honestly put, well, I don't know about that. I was going to say you could put the second movie before the first one, but it wouldn't make that much sense. He could have made the Vito story as the first movie and then done The Godfather and then done Michael's story in part two as just its own movie. But I think juxtaposing them against each other, I think it just really opens up and allows you to see the difference. They're the same age now in what they're showing you with Vito in 1917, and what they show you with Michael in what I presume to be the early 70s. Showing you the contrast of like what they're going through and them being the way that they were raised and the way that they had to get by life. I just thought it was incredible.
It was a great movie, and I really loved, Michael and Fredo's mom. Just how she was just straight up Italian, will tell you exactly what she thought.
Yeah.
Didn't care who was in the room.
Yeah.
This is what I think of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She definitely was not afraid to tell people
No, she
exactly
spoke
what
her
she
mind. What
thought.
come up came out.
Yeah.
I thought that was great.
Yeah, she was really good. Dad, we did mention that Dad had said the women take a step up in the movie. I don't know.
I didn't really see a whole lot of stepping on the women's part.
Maybe one step.
One step, maybe.
Of like 30.
Yeah.
I think there's like one conversation between women where they're not talking about men and they talk about children.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I would say they're less. I would say they do less in this movie.
Right, and I think how Kay.
The only thing that Kay really does is get manipulated and beaten in this movie.
Yeah, like when her step out moment was an abortion.
I'm leaving you.
I'm leaving you. I'm taking our children.
Yeah,
I'm not bringing another one of your monsters into this world.
She's used as almost like another block in the road for Michael, and Michael has created that block in the road.
I mean, he did this to himself.
Yeah, and I mean, Kay really didn't want that life anyways, and even back to the first Godfather,
exactly.
She didn't really want to be a part of it.
I mean, she begged him, Michael, please don't be a part of this.
Yeah.
This is not the life I want.
Yeah. And her just being like, I just have no love for you at all.
Mm-hmm.
I think it sobered him a lot, and we'll see in part 3 if what that really does to him, because part 3 does take place like 20 years later.
Yeah.
So, or 15, something like that.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and throw this on the list, though. Do you want to go first? You want me to go first?
You go first.
I gave this movie a 10. It's the first 10 from me, but yeah, this one just deserves it.
I'm gonna go with a 10.
And The Godfather Part 2 has received a perfect score of 20. And it will fly up to number 1 on the list. And technically can no longer be beaten unless we see a movie that we think is so good
that it blows it completely out of the water.
That it gets an 11. I don't think. The only thing you can do now is hope to tie with The Godfather Part 2 if you're a movie getting reviewed on this on this podcast. But I think a lot of movies getting made kind of have that idea in the first place. The only way that they're going to be considered one of the best movies of all time is if they can make a movie that can stand up against this one. So
highly doubtful.
Yeah, highly doubtful, but you can try.
Got a lot of stepping up to do.
Yeah, but that was basically our review and discussion of The Godfather Part 2. Do you have any other thoughts before we get into promo hour?
No, I just thought it was fantastic. Fantastic movie. Very intense.
Me too.
Very intense.
Really enjoyed it.
Me too.
I don't know how much rewatchability this movie has, given its length, but you know, it is definitely one to see at least once in your lifetime, I would say. It is worth it, and it definitely is worth the hype. I think that is like a big thing that a lot of people will note, that this movie has a lot of hype behind it. It was one of those things where you were able to justify the hype because it's just so good at every step. And you know, if you like action movies and really high paced stuff, you will hate this movie probably. But
yeah,
I would
get
hope
some popcorn.
I would hope that somebody could see this movie for what it is, and be able to appreciate it, because it truly is a masterclass of and kind of captures the essence of what movie making is.
I agree.
But yeah, time to get into promo hour. On Mondays, we have F&F Self Tapes, which is a cousin. Well, I guess not really. It's like a sister show of this one. It's got the same basic outline, except is just me. So if you would like to see more reviews, you can watch those. I'm actually going to start shortening them a little bit, and not be so long-winded in them, or try not to be at the very least. But next Monday, this past Monday, we'll have watched Paris, Texas from 1984, and then next Monday, we're going to be watching Love and Basketball from 2000. So, looking forward to that. Next week on this show, I am not exactly sure who's going to be on here, because the day that this episode comes out, it'll actually be my birthday. So I'll be turning 23.
Happy birthday!
Thank you. Yeah, I'll be turning 23 on the day that this comes out, and so I don't know if I'm gonna really be available. It might just get pushed back a week, because I don't know if we'll be available to record anything next week. But if we do end up getting that done, just be on the lookout for that. It would be next Friday. If you missed last week's episode, me and my dad watched Bottle Rocket from 1996, which is Wes Anderson's first movie. That was a really good movie. I really enjoyed that. Not a Godfather 2, but, you know, still a good movie.
It was good. I watched it too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so just be on the lookout for all the finding new films. Me and Trevor had Friday, not yesterday. On Friday, we recorded a second episode of Basement Tapes, so that should be out sometime soon. It's probably going to be a Wednesday or a Thursday. It might actually come out before this, so go check that out if it's out, and if it's not out, be on the lookout. And then last but not least, Greg and Jeff Give the Hi-Hat premieres on YouTube's Sunday midnight, and then it is everywhere else on streaming after that. So if that is something that would be interesting to you, go check that out. I think this past week they talked about, last week they talked about sports, coaching fiascos and coaching scandals, NIL deals, and MLB season at the midway point. And then this upcoming week, I'm actually not sure what they're talking about. Or when this comes out, I guess it'll be 2 days from now. So I don't know what they're talking about quite yet as I'm filming this, but I will be sure to post that on either their Threads page or their Instagram page in the coming days. So be on the lookout for that as well. I'm running out of time, so I need to finish this up. You can follow us on Instagram at the Q Crew. You can follow the show at Finding New Films. You can follow me at Hunter Ryan Harris. You can follow Mom at Seashell_boutique, as well as JLHMAH3797. You can follow any of the shows that I just mentioned on Instagram as well. Greg and Jeff Give the Hi-Hat, The Basement Tapes. F&F Cell Tapes shares a Instagram with Finding New Films, since they're basically the same show. Also, be on the lookout very soon. We're going to be doing a new Finding New Films special called Finding New or F&F at the Films. And I'll be making more announcements about that on FNF's Instagram page. The first movie we're going to be doing for that will be Oppenheimer. That also comes out on my birthday. So be on the lookout for all that. At the Q Crew Productions, YouTube, Instagram, not Twitter. Fuck Twitter. Alright. Bye, everybody.